recognizes faces but can retrieve information from its young memory bank. As these changes occur, the child is learning to hold its consciousness in beta in order to function in the physical environment. During these early months, which parents begin to reteach their child how to go into alpha. In years past, we used to think that pastel colors were best for young infants, but more recent research, such as that by Jerome Kagan, who has studied infant development for the last 20 years, indicates that babies respond best to bold primary colors, especially red and stark checkerboard patterns, rather than plain ones. So, in their earliest months, they are ready for the crystal countdown. Witches in Salem introduce their children to the spectrum of colors, from bright red to violet, by using brightly colored objects or toys, stuffed animals, different colored flowers, brightly colored sheep taped on the wall. Anything will work. Many parents make a game of it to show the objects or toys in the order of the countdown and count as they do so. They challenge the child to find or recognize the sheep or lollipops or balls in the order of the countdown. Older children can paint their walls or ceilings with these colors or make a collection of their favorite objects according to their colors. Which children are usually better at concentration than other children because of the time their parents spend with them, teaching them how to direct their attention and observe and recognize these things around them. And as a general rule, children are often more accurate than adults. When my daughters were young and I played the following game with them to teach them how to use the third eye in alpha, I would think of something in the room and ask them to draw it into the screen and to tell me what it was. Of course, they did not always see the object clearly, but if they came close with the right color or shape or use, I considered that a hit. One day I was playing this game with my daughter Penny and thinking of a mortar and pestle sitting near the kitchen sink. Her response was a broken guitar, which she described as a guitar with the neck broken off and lying at its side. I was inclined to call that a miss because we didn't have a guitar, whole or broken, in the house, so I told her to look more closely, but she continued to see the broken guitar and insisted that this was what it was. Then it dawned on me that the particular mortar that I had in mind was shaped like an hourglass, which is similar to the shape of a classical guitar. The pestle lying by its side could have been the neck on the guitar, so I told her that she had done well by seeing the correct shapes, even though she identified them wrong. This was one of the first times I learned that psychics can get the correct information but misinterpret it. We should never decide too quickly what we think information means. By playing the crystal countdown with our children and letting them see objects on their mental screens while in alpha, we teach them that thoughts are things and that the world is not completely outside their minds. Anything around them can become part of their consciousness. In this way, they will grow up to be comfortable with psychic experiences that happen to them naturally and spontaneously. Similarly, they will learn how to control their psychic experiences and be able to tune them on or off at will. When they see or hear fairies, spirits, animal helpers, or guides from other dimensions, they will not be frightened, nor will they dismiss them as mere fantasies. They will take them as real and be open and receptive to the knowledge and wisdom that they bring to us. Dreams. Children spend a lot of time dreaming, and often they hesitate to talk about their dreams because their parents don't take dreams seriously. Too often children wake up crying in the night from a frightening dream, and parents come in, brush away their tears, and tell them to forget it, that it was just a nightmare or just a bad dream. No consciously what a dream is all about, so we work with our children, asking them questions about the images in their dreams and their feelings about their images to help them get insight into what is going on. Some tribal people teach their children to handle frightening dreams by confronting the threatening images and making them allies. One way to do this is to tell a child who has had a disturbing dream that when the dream comes back or another one like it, the child has the power, while still in the dream, to confront the monster and ask it for a gift of power. In time, children are able to do this, and they derive strength and self-confidence from the most frightening dream. To make a child's sense of power in a dream more real, some witch parents fashion a special dreaming wand or dream doll to give the child to sleep with next to the pillow. We tell the child that the wand or doll will be there when the monsters come and will give the child power to confront the monster, ask for the gift, and make the monster a friend or an ally. As children get better with controlling the way they respond to disturbing dreams, they can be taught to incubate or program dreams around topics they find pleasurable or enjoyable. I always encourage children to have dreams about flying, or dreams in which they learn things about nature, or dreams in which they will meet their spirit guides or animal helpers. Later in life, they will incubate dreams to help in problem solving and decision making, and they will have a rich and rewarding dream life. Protection spells for children. Children are vulnerable, and our society seems to be getting more violent all the time. It is important for all parents to teach children the truth about evil and danger, and to teach ways that children can protect themselves against harm. One of the reasons the Witches League is working to change the image of the witch in children's videos and books is that it gives children a false sense of danger and security. They think that witches are green and ugly and ride broomsticks as they go around doing evil. In reality, witches are not evil, and the real threat to children's safety lurks in many corners of our society in the guise of average-looking men and women. The outlandish cartoon characters that gnash their teeth and lick their lips and wring their hands over doing evil things are not walking the streets of our cities. Average-looking people are, some of whom are trusted family members, and we must teach children the truth about this. In addition to educating children about safety and how to be street smart, witch parents also give their children ways to deflect them from harm. Any of the spells and exercises in the protection section of the previous chapter can be taught to children or done for them. Witches begin early to teach a child how to use magic to neutralize evil or danger. As soon as the child is old enough to understand what it is all about, we put protection shields around our children, and when they are old enough to do their own, we teach them how. Protection potions can be put on a child's wrists and forehead before going to school, which will also serve as a reminder to play safe, be on guard crossing streets, and be wary of strangers. Death and burial. Death is one of the most important moments in life. It is the moment we step from the physical world into that of the spirit, light, and energy. We step completely and finally through the neurika, the portal in the mind that leads into the next world. Death, like life itself, will always be a mystery. In fact, death is one of the mysteries of life. In Hindu mythology, the continual rhythm of creation and destruction is expressed in the eternal dance of the god Shiva. In modern physics, Fritjof Capra tells us every subatomic particle not only forms an energy dance, but also is an energy dance, a pulsating process of creation and destruction. Spiritual traditions from around the world have sought to explain this mystery of life and death and life by initiation rites that center around a hero who must undergo some sort of symbolically journeying into the beyond, and emerge reborn as a teacher or guide, either for other mortals or for some more cosmic enterprise. In Celtic lore, we see this in the story of Arthur, who sails to the land of the dead to retrieve the magic cauldron, from which only courageous and true heroes could eat. The cauldron nourishes them with the food of immortality, thus assuring them a blessed life in the world to come. When Arthur himself was wounded unto death, he was transported to Avalon, where tradition says that he will wait until the world needs him once again. At that point he will return. Today, when witches use the cauldron, this ancient symbol of immortality, in their rituals, they are reminded of these sacred truths about life, death, and the land where no one dies. In modern Western society, we have practically outlawed death from public and private discussion. The subject has become taboo. This attitude is unique in world history. Other cultures did not shun the topic of death as we do. In fact, teaching the ways of death was part of their spiritual traditions. For example, the Orphic and Eleusinian mysteries in Greece, the Osirian and Isis mysteries in Egypt, the Mithraic mysteries of the Middle East, the Druidic mysteries in Western Europe, the Ojibwa Mediwen Society, to name merely one of many American Indian medicine societies, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, and the Aztec Popol Vuh, the medieval tradition of Ars Moriendi, or the art of dying. All of these were attempts to give people a preview of what awaited them when consciousness left the body and embarked on its journey to the next life. Such spiritual traditions were undoubtedly powerful psychotherapy to deal with death and dying, and to prevent the fear and shock that seem to be part of the modern man and woman's understanding of death. Witches celebrate death in our own sacred mysteries just as we celebrate life, because our worldview is earth-centered, and because we celebrate the changing of all the seasons, winter as well as summer. We do not see death as the end. It is merely one season on the wheel of life. So